Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal. In this video, I am going to be taking some scrap fabrics and creating a super cute little Halloween decor pillow. I have tons and tons of fabric in my stash. I had a piece that was large enough to make a smaller size pillow, so I got that out and I measured it. And I highly recommend if you are new to sewing, it's a good idea to iron everything. I did not iron this I'm kind of a little bit on the lazy side when it comes to sewing, but it's pretty important step when you are sewing to get out any wrinkles and make sure your fabric lays flat and everything. I'm taking my rotary color cutter and my acrylic ruler and I'm making sure all my lines are straight and um, even and everything is measured good. Then I take some fabric felt that I have, and these are all scrap pieces as well. I'm taking them, I have some purple and I have some black, and I'm kind of cutting out like a bat looking shape. I am not using any sort of template or pattern or anything. I'm just kind of freehanding everything. If you do not feel comfortable doing this, all you need to do is draw a bat out on a piece of paper, or you can go online and print out a bat silhouette, and then you just pin it to your fabric, and then you can use a piece of chalk or a pen or something like that and trace it onto your fabric so you can cut it out. But I'm not looking for like super perfect bats. I just want all different sizes and a little bit different variety for everyone. So I'm not really too worried about everything being perfect. I just kept adding bats until I felt like I had enough bats where it looked cute. I placed them all out onto where they were going to lay out on my pillow, and then I pinned everything down. When you are pinning down your bats, just make sure you pin them to only the one piece of fabric. So that way, when you go to sew everything on, you're not sewing through the front and the back of your pillow. I am going to use some embroidery floss to sew my bats on. I'm doing all of my bats sewn on by hand. I take a section of embroidery floss and I separate it. There's usually 6 pieces of thread in your embroidery floss. So I only want to use 3. So I'm separating them by finding 3 and putting 3 pieces of thread in one hand, 3 in the other, and then just kind of slowly, gently pulling them apart. And then I need to tie a knot at the end so that way when I start sewing it on, it doesn't just completely pull through. And I like to do 2 knots to double knot it so that way it holds tightly. And I had a really hard time making my knots because my nails are so long. It took me forever in a day to try and make my knots. But I'm just threading my needle through my fabric and through my little bat, and I am just kind of lining around the edges of the bat to secure the bat onto my pillow. When I get almost to the end of my embroidery floss, I want to leave like maybe 2 inches or so and then tie a double knot so that way it doesn't pull through the back, and then I can just continue on and start again. I hope that makes sense. So basically, when you start sewing, you want to start with a knot and then you want to end with a knot. So you have a way of kind of tying off the beginning and the ending of your thread so it doesn't pull through on either end. I just like to give myself a little bit extra um, at the end, which is why I usually leave 2 to 3 inches because the knots can be hard to tie if you only leave like say half an inch and it can be a struggle. Hand sewing tends to take a lot of time. This took me several hours to hand sew all these bats on, and but time just flew by really fast. Before I knew it, was like 3 hours went by. So if you're trying to kill some time, this is a great way to do it. Okay, so here is the part where I show you where I tie the knot on the back. See how I'm leaving like 2 to 3 inches so that way I have enough room to work with to make my knot to secure my thread into place. So I usually double knot it. That's usually enough to secure it, but you want to make sure the knots are on top of each other. You don't want to have them like a couple of centimeters apart because one will just pull through and then the other one will pull through after that. So once you get all your bats secured, it's time to sew the pillow sides together. When sewing, you always want to sew the right sides together. So I am taking my 2 pieces of fabric and I'm putting them together and then I'm pinning everything so that way they don't shift as I start sewing. You can probably hand sew all of this, but I don't recommend it. If it took me a few hours to do those bats, it's probably going to take a long time to sew the whole pillow together as well. So when you start sewing on your sewing machine, just make sure you leave I like to leave like a 4 inch gap at the bottom where I do not put any thread. So that way you can put your hand in there and turn it inside out. Always make sure you back stitch at that area as well. So that way your thread doesn't come loose over time. And then just shove your polyfill stuffing in there, make it fluffy. You can do as much or as little as you want. I like to make mine kind of like medium, I guess you would say. I don't like a super overfilled pillow and definitely don't like one underfilled. And then you just take your needle and thread and you sew up that little hole that you left so you could stuff it with the polyfill. And then that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little scrap pillow I made. And let me know down in the comments if you liked it. And let me know if you decide to make yourself a cute little scrap pillow. Thanks again. Have a great day. Happy Halloween.